absolutely delighted to welcome to your net profit Wayne Smith. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Simon.
Of Wayne Smith Property Valuers. Wayne Smith Property Valuers. Wayne, can I ask you where you got the name from? I'm only kidding. I'm only kidding.
But in all seriousness, Wayne, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and the company that you
Thank
run?
you, Tick. I'll speak to you. I'll speak to you this morning. No, I just went through the standard course of becoming a valuer here in Adelaide and did the degree course and worked for a commercial firm for 7 years. Worked in a real estate company for a couple of years and then decided, that I wanted to work for myself.
Yeah.
And 7 years ago, just started from home with some loyal clients and have gone from there and are still doing it and still enjoying it.
That's fantastic.
And does a fantastic job just quietly. Now when we heard from Greg Moulton from Brock earlier on, what people look for, the consumer perhaps viewpoint, what they look for when they first turn up to a property. From the valuer's perspective, do you look for something different? When you walk into a property, what are you looking for?
Yeah, it's a good point, and Greg spoke really well, and I think the marketing aspect is really the agent's expertise. Yep. And the little things about flowers and presentation and the small things, that's their job and that's what they specialise in. The valuers, we're a bit more dour or a bit more statistical in our approach, and the critical matters. I mean, location is to a valuer is everything. Location is everything. If you can get the land component I believe if you can get the land component of a valuation right, you're most of the way of getting the value right. Yeah. So the data that we source before we go out there, land size and locality, and then I suppose when we get to the property, looking at the position, where it is, what it's close to, what it's not close to, what influences there are. They're the first things that we look to when we're at a property, and then first impressions. First impressions count, and that's the agent's viewpoint of the front yard and freshening it up. And no question, when we get out of our car and look at the property, your first impression is important. So width of frontage, elevation on the high side, gently on the high side of the road to stand out. If you tick those boxes, and you're on a good wide fronted allotment with a residential dwelling we're talking about here, very important.
So whilst you're talking there, Wayne, about value as being emotionless and just absolutely numbers and doing the research, there still is the feel factor.
Of course,
when it comes down to it.
And there is no question that you go into occasionally you go into a property that just has that feel about it, and it is not indescribable, but there are just some properties that just have a great feel, and I would that they're the issues of light and space and presentation, neutral colours and good natural light through a property, wide entrances, not cramped, and as Greg said before, not cluttered, not cramped. Of course, you feel good. You feel good with those, and I mean they put the cream on top of a property.
Yeah. As always on this show, Wayne, we like to call that the X factor.
Exactly. Do you think, things like furnishings, like new curtains, for instance, in kind of first impressions make a difference? Should people go out and grab that stuff if they want to get a higher value on their property?
Difficult question. Yeah. And more, to my first point, more of a marketing question. Fresh coat of paint, floorboards, fresh coat of paint, light, nice curtains, nice window treatments, nice light and fittings are all important, no question. It gets back though, location is first, second and third. It's the first, second and third things we look for. Then what's under the main roof, how big your house is and what's under the main roof. All these other issues are important because as we discussed in the last segment, about the bank, as Paul discussed about as the bank, if it's for mortgage security purposes, yes, we are there to look on the bank's behalf as to what this property might sell for if it fell back into their hands. And And yeah, the presentation and how the property would sit if it was for sale, you know, are really important, no question.
All good points. Well, can we explore on it's not just the property itself, and you mentioned location, but it's the surrounding properties and comparable sales come into the equation. Can you explain to our viewers what comparable sales really means?
Well, they're everything. The comparable sales are everything, and again, everyone's touched on it perfectly. And with the internet and with RP Data and the great job that they do, I am a client of theirs. As well. You know, sales are what a valuer relies on, because our valuations can be tested in court, and we are there for the banks as the third party to ensure the bank's security is adequate, the sales is the premise of everything, because all a valuer is doing is trying to reproduce the market.
Yep.
Just as you would or Tanika would when you're out looking for a property, this sold for that much, that sold for that much, weigh up the pros and cons, therefore I think I'll pay this much for the property. That is what the valuer is there to do, reproduce what the market is thinking. Nothing more, nothing less. It's not an exact science where you press a button on a calculator, here's the figure. So yes, the sales are everything, Simon. Recent sales, comparable sales, as close to compare apples with apples as possible, and critical. And you know, if a client ever had a sale that we weren't aware of, and to say, hey Wayne, did you have a look at this one round the corner that sold? We'll always look at it, always, because it is the crux of the matter, for sure.